in terms of the discussion of meeting people's needs, going back to auto-enrolment itself, what do we think so far has worked and what hasn't worked if we're reviewing the past sort of 12 to 18 months of auto-enrolment? Darren, do you think that it's been meeting people's needs?
I think it's too early to say, is the sort of short answer to the question. But I think auto-enrolment is a game changer when it comes to pensions. What we're trying to do is put people into a pension, get them to save and have a decent retirement outcome. There's a positive buzz about pensions, as I mentioned earlier. Auto-enrolment is being seen as a success. It's got off to a flying start. So we're seeing opt-out rates of less than 10%, which is absolutely fantastic. I think the doom-mongers were saying it would be up around a third, maybe even higher than that. The People's Pension, we're seeing opt-out rates of 6%, which is absolutely fantastic. And actually the opt-out rates for younger individuals are much lower than they are for older individuals. So So that's a really that's really encouraging. There's a long way to go there. It hasn't been easy for those employers that have gone through auto-enrolment already. The rules are complicated. It's not an easy thing to actually get through. We're only at 1% employee contributions, so that's not enough. It's hardly noticeable in terms of people's pay packets. And it'll be interesting to see what happens with the current bunch of employers that are coming through, and also once we get into the smalls. So I'm a great fan of auto-enrolment. I think it's the type of change that we needed to our pensions landscape to get people saving more for their pension. It's got off to an absolutely flying start. It's great. We're seeing innovations into the market. We're seeing pensions provided with good governance and at scale, which is really important for this. But we need to sort of start thinking about what the response will be when contributions will go up, and they will need to go up above the 8% that is being legislated for. We're going to have to bite that bullet at some point. And for me, it would be great if we didn't have to legislate for an increase in contributions. It would be great if actually people trusted their pension scheme, saw the benefits of saving, and actually voluntarily wanted to sort of contribute more to their pension. But I think we're a million miles away from that. But I think some of the budget changes and some of the innovations that come out of that could be a bit positive. And we just need to sort of build that trust and confidence and build on the cracking start we've had to auto-enrolment to make sure that we continue getting more people to save more for their retirement.
I mean, I think I agree that it's absolutely fantastic that opt-out rates have been so low. I think my concern is whether that will stay that way, is that we've had about 11,500 employers who've staged already, but they are the biggest employers with the biggest employee population, but also the biggest amount of available resources to develop a really good communication strategy with their workforce. Now, we've got 1.3 million employers left to go. I don't think that there's necessarily the capacity within the market.
Amongst our larger clients, most of them had a dedicated project manager, or at least somebody nominated to look after the AE implementation. So from our point of view, that was great. If we had any questions about the implementation or training, straight one point of contact. We're now prepping for the projects where, like you say, people have got around 100 employees. They've got an HR and payroll team of perhaps 2 or 3 people who haven't got the time or don't think they've got the time anyway to manage the AE project, and things are getting left to the last minute because there's so much else going on. I think, yes, now we're starting to have that problem where things are starting to snowball and catch up with people. I think we'll start seeing that over summer already, which is a shame, because it's difficult. It's a shame to lose the momentum that we've got from the large employers of last year, but I don't think it's avoidable at the moment. There's just the capacity, like you say.
We've got a staging date the 1st of July, and I started with the company in November, and we started that process really to find a supplier then. And we've actually just got to the stage this week where I think we're finally deciding on who we're going to use. But we found that the pensions industry was just so saturated that they wouldn't even respond, let alone tell us that they were too saturated to respond. So we actually found there's sort of a 2-month window almost of time of just hitting our heads against a brick wall and going nowhere. And so we wanted to do it ourselves. Being an SME, it's very cost conscious, and we wanted to to get through that supplier sourcing and supplier selection phase, but actually ended up having to employ a third party to do that for us, because most of those pension providers wouldn't talk directly to the small industries.
There seem to be perhaps three big mistakes that many organisations are making when it comes to auto-enrolment. The first is massively underestimating just how much has got to be done.
Yeah.
We've started off with a beautifully simple idea that every employer should put in place a pension scheme for their workforce that they and their employees contribute to. What a beautifully simple objective, but that's resulted in some 280 or so pages of detailed technical guidance notes on the pension regulator's website, and all that complexity results in operational and decision-making challenges for employers. The second big mistake they're making is that they are hugely underestimating how long it takes to prepare for auto-enrolment properly, specifically around basic things like getting all your data together. I'm sure Cascade and others find it very frustrating when you get those calls from employers saying, please help us, what state's your data in? And the response is probably, what exactly do you mean? Why is that important? And, I'm surprised you've got any hair left at all.
It's busy, let's say that.
And the third big mistake they're making is actually hugely underestimating the supply of services in the marketplace.